research, you probably know that this road was a shortcut used by the colonists, but originally by the Native Americans. In the area.
And which nation was this particular area?
I'm gonna have to ask.
Okay.
For you. I'm gonna have to ask for you. Josh, why do I know?
Kijk, hier is zo mooi. Wow.
The fruit trees. Now, was this also part of their?
So, Joan Maynard, the founding artistic director, believed in gardens and storytelling in the garden, etc. So this is literally the Joan Maynard peach tree, which is diseased and it's dying. So in the plantings, we knew, or they knew, that they had to replicate it in some way. So my plan is to, when we can, cut this down and have an artist make it into a storytelling bench that goes in the back in one of our gardens. So she's always still here in a way. But they held on to that. They held on to that culture. Now that's the house where the In Pursuit of Freedom exhibition is going to be.
Oh, wow.
In the fall.
Now, was it all built at the same time, or there are different time periods when these houses were built?
These are what we call the double houses. We actually believe that this architecture began in the 1860s.
Okay.
So, and that it's very possible that these houses were moved here from another location. We argued for a long time that they were built on the land, but it's possible that one, if not two, were moved here.
And what evidence do you have that happened?
The deeds, the land trusts, etc. And this book I'm telling you about, it's called Brooklyn's Promised Land, and the writer of this book, it took her 10 years to write it, but the book is entirely based on census records and all of the documentation of land ownership, etc., in this area. So everything is verified, and so she in a very detailed way can tell you who lived in these houses at different periods in time. So I told you the James Weeks story, but the most important part of this whole story is actually what happened in the late 1960s. There was a community history class at Pratt University, and the instructor of that class brought up Weeksville, the historic Weeksville community. And they decided that one of their class projects would be to go out into the neighborhood and see if they could prove that this community really did exist. They got out their maps, etc., and by foot they found their way over here, and there were these kind of dilapidated shacks in this area right here. And so they said, could it be? Could these be remnants of historic Weeksville? So they knew that they had to go then by air to verify according to the grid if these were in the location that was indicated, and indeed they were.
Wow.
They were verified as those houses. There was a family living in 1698 Bergen, and maybe in one of these houses, but they soon moved out, soon after. But they're really, really in bad condition. Joan Maynard came on board at that point, the former executive director. And what she did after that was nothing less than amazing. She rallied a community around demanding that these homes be preserved.
Yeah. Wow.
That's why the National Museum of African American History and Culture wanted artifacts from our collection. Not because they harkened back to a community of the 1830s, but because they were testament to community activism in the late 1960s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it was the students and the community themselves that first started the first fundraising campaign for an archaeological dig. We have images of young people digging in this land, but actually over by Weeksville Gardens. So Weeksville was about 16 blocks large at its height, right?
Really?
So this is only one area of Weeksville. Went all the way over to Dean Avenue.
Yeah.
Is it, straight? Okay. So there were two digs that happened in this area and over there, but the entire community participated in that dig.
Wow.
It was the Boy Scout troop of this area that testified before the Landmarks Commission with their little objects in their hands that these should become historic landmarks, designated historic landmarks, and they won.
Really?
These are designated historic landmarks for the state
Beautiful.
of New York, and I believe we're on the National Register. right?
Beautifully done.
But it was decided that, for a long time, how do we interpret them then? How do we interpret them? Because Weeksville existed over a period of time, it was thought best to begin with the 1860s.
'Cause that's the whole. Is that the oldest?
Yeah, interpret these houses in the 1860s. This two-level house is interpreted in the 1900s period, and the last house is the 1930s. So let's look. Let's go in this one. We're not